Thank you. I just don't understand any of this.
How are you all? No, you're great. Hi. Good day. Oh.
You remember James?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fortunately, he doesn't fly for Singapore.
They fast Virgin Airlines. Yeah, I've gone Virgin in London. I was looking on the flight when I came over here. So that didn't fly.
Oh, what's it?
Yeah. Oh, really? Well, yeah. Anyway, maybe fly next time to Perth.
Oh, no, no. We've got local East Coast stuff at the moment.
Stay.
No, no.
Oh, no, that's a thing.
You too, gotcha.
Hi. Hello. Hi. Hi. Okay, I've done my job now.
A little bit of space.
Okay. Are you okay over there?
Yes, Ajahn.
Here's to the BSV. Yeah. I just switch it off. Very good. Excellent. Okay. Yes, it's on. So I'd like to welcome everybody by introducing the president of the BSV.
Thank you, Ajahn, for introducing me. And may I introduce Ajahn Brahm too? This is Ajahn Brahm.
Thank you.
So thank you all, Ajahn Brahm, for visiting BSV to celebrate the Vesak with us. Together with Ajahn Brahm, we have Ajahn Nisarono, who is our senior monk from Newbury. And we have Bante Arana Vihari, who is also a long-term monastic resident at the Newbury, which we are very grateful for his support. And of course, we have Ajahn Sadhuru here, who is our resident monastic here at BSV Buddha Loka Vihara, and occasionally goes to visit and stay at the Newbury Buddhist Monastery. And we have Ajahn Bodhinyana. He stays at the Buddha Loka Bodhinyana, and he's recently been staying at the Newbury for these few months. And of course, we have got Ajahn Morito, who is just stuck in the corner. Yeah, he has been working very hard with the building project. And after so many years, he's taking a few months break to visit Europe, I think soon after this Vesak celebration. But we will be seeing him after the Vasa, which is very good. And we want him to hang around to finish the project too as well. And of course, on this side, we have Ayopeka, our senior nuns from Newbury. And together with Ayopeka, we have Ayah Sankapa and Ayah Sunata. Thank you all for supporting Buddha Loka and the Newbury Vesak celebration. Thank you. And without wasting too much time, thank you all for your attendance and support for the BSV Vesak celebration. I'll just quickly go through the agenda just so that you are aware of. We will have we will start with the chanting, but together with the chanting, we will request for those new membership. We have given the opportunity for new membership to take refuge and take the precepts with Ajahn Brahm. So this is the first run. So for those who are taking the refuge and precepts for the first time, please come forward here, and so they can do that when the chanting starts. Then after that, Ajahn Brahm will talk about will give a talk on the power of Vesak. Sorry. Good. All right then. After the talk, you'll be followed by Q&A questions around 12:30, hopefully, and then from 12:45, people who have purchased the robes or any other offerings, please come forward here to make offerings to the Sangha here. Around 12:45, we will make the call when the time comes. And then during the after that, they will be chanting of the Anumodana and the water blessing. And Ajahn, so at this time, when we do the water blessing, please stay where you are. Ajahn Brahm and the monastics will walk around and sprinkle holy water on you for blessing. And you will go around here, the hall, the library, and the back of the kitchen. So please stay where you are, don't move around. And please clear the passage so that the monastics can walk out along the way. And after the water blessing ceremony, Ajahn Brahm will be at the back of Vihara, hopefully around 1:20. And there will be a second round of new memberships recruitment. Those who like to take refuge with Ajahn Brahm, around that time, 1:20, please gather at the back of Vihara if you have missed out these morning sessions. And from 1:30 to 2 o'clock, there will be meet and greet and photo sessions with Ajahn Brahm at the back of the Vihara too as well. And after that, we have some special talks with the Sunday School Teens group and the Citizen group. So that's the summary of the program. Now, just a bit of housekeeping today. Because of the Vesak, today, Monday night and Tuesday night, we won't be conducting our regular meditation sessions, so we're having a break here. And next week, there'll be, as usual, we will resume our monastic talk. So today is going to be jam-packed. I will then pass the mic to Ajahn Brahm. But before that, can I ask those new membership who have already signed up to take a new membership, can you please come forward? Okay, yeah. Luke, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, yeah, please come forward quickly.
This is beautiful.
Where's Savitri, by the way?
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah? She's right today, okay. I will just request it. Yeah. Paul here, can you please sit forward? Can you move a little bit forward? Yeah, please. Just spread out a bit.
Lovely.
There's some space at the side there, and the nun said, oh, you can sit there too as well.
Yeah, okay. Excellent. Yeah, please come closer.
All right then. So I would like to request Ajahn Brahm to give and the monastic give us to lead our to conduct the taking of the refuge and the 5 precepts.
Excellent. Well, we can do that.
I think that will do.
Yeah, it's okay. Excellent.
Venerable, we request the 3 refuges and the 5 training rules. For the second time, Venerable, we request the 3 refuges and the 5 training rules. For the third time, Venerable, we request the 3 refuges and the 5 training rules.
That's excellent. But first of all, I just did a Vesak ceremony over in Perth last weekend. We had many, many people taking the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts for the first time. I know that one of the people did it from Kazakhstan online. There were 2 people from Iran, but we did that sort of quietly because they'd get into trouble with their government if they knew they were taking the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. And it was a beautiful little ceremony. It inspires me, even though it's not simple for them to keep the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts because of where they live. They want to do it so much that they really take it so seriously. And it's a beautiful ceremony. And I did also mention that about 7 or 8 years ago, there was one lady who took those 3 refuges and 5 precepts while she was staying in Vancouver. And she was so inspired in keeping those 3 refuges and 5 precepts. She's now one of the seminaries in Dhamma Monastery. She eventually managed to get over to Perth. She's young enough, and she managed to get a place in the Bhikkhuni Monastery. And that's what kind of inspires me, just how when we give these 3 refuges and 5 precepts, how it really sort of touches people's heart, inspires them. I don't know how many times I've given the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. Honestly, it inspires me every time. I know how much it changes your life. And please excuse me for talking too much, but when I kept the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts, I just learned them myself. Yes, I used to, the last animal I ever killed was a mouse just after my father died. My mother was terrified of mice. I set a trap and I was very successful. I killed a mouse. And I remember just taking its body, feeling so guilty. And as I took it to dispose of the body in the basically rubbish bins, and I was just stroking its body. It was so soft and so beautiful. And I couldn't do any killing after that. When you actually see what it does, I felt so bad about that. And so I soon sort of gave up any type of killing. I soon decided to be a vegetarian, before I was a monk. And then even stealing. If, like a bus conductor would not ask for my bus fare, I thought, well, his fault. But I didn't feel good about that. Somebody had to pay for those buses in London. He had to get his salary from somewhere. So in the end, I decided if he doesn't ask for my fare, I will pay it anyway. I go up to him, and sometimes they were shocked. This poor little schoolboy was still paying his fare, whether it was asked or not. And later on, the 3rd precept about not committing adultery or sexual misconduct, I did have girlfriend at the time. I was about to say girlfriends, one after the other, never 2 at the same time. And I couldn't do that because it was just so expensive. And I was poor. But not only that, I didn't want my girlfriend to go out with another boy when I was going out with her. I didn't feel that was correct. So that was, to me, I learned that 3rd precept. The 4th precept, lying. It's terrible to lie to somebody, especially your friend or people you love and care for. Why would you want to lie? And so I stopped lying. And the last thing I gave up in the 5 precepts was alcohol. I was a student at university. All my friends were drinking. But I thought, why am I doing this for? It didn't make any sense at all. I could enjoy life much better with clarity of mind instead of not really knowing what I was doing. So I just, by myself, I gave up alcohol. And that's when I heard that the monks of the temple I was going to at the time, which was the most convenient one, that was the Thai temple, and the time was in East Sheen, that's like basically Richmond in London. That's the closest temple. And then one day they came to me and said, you've been coming here for a long time now. It's about time you took the 5 precepts. And honestly, this is how the conversation went. I said, what are the 5 precepts? And when the monk explained them to me, I said, Venerable Sir, I don't need to take those 5 precepts. I've been keeping them for about 1.5 years now. I was an arrogant young man. But nevertheless, it was true. I learned them first of all before I even could chant them. And that's how much I value them. So, if you do ever break a precept, what should you do? You must just go and tell a good friend, you know, if I'm here, you can come and tell me I just broke this precept. I said, okay, try and do better next time. There's no punishments. You learn yourself. That's me. Anyway, yeah, I'm in a cupboard. So you learn from your mistakes and you do better next time. But never hide them. Let somebody know, a close friend or a monk, and they will never so tell you off. They will just say, oh, it's a mistake. And they probably say their mistakes they made. And then you learn to be better and better, month after month, year after year. That's how these precepts work. Is that okay? Okay. So we start with the Namo Tassa. We do that in Pali?
Pali, you can do Pali English. Actually, I haven't got the English.
You haven't got the English here.
Now you should put it up here, the chanting.
It's a bit in the party.
Okay.
Oh, there it is now.
Oh, we go, yeah, okay. We'll
Whichever
do the
one,
English.
yeah.
Okay. So you can say along with me, same time. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. When it gets to the 3 refuges, please excuse me, I'm attached to Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. It just means too much to me. So if you can do it in Pali, this one, that'd be lovely. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Those are the 3 refuges. And now the 5 precepts we can do in English because it's much more meaningful to everybody. So the first precept. I undertake the training rule to refrain from killing living beings. Number 2. I undertake the training rule to refrain from stealing. I undertake the training rule to refrain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the training rule to refrain from lying. I undertake the training rule to refrain from alcohol and drugs which lead to carelessness. And that last one, the drugs, means the non-medicinal drugs. If something has been prescribed by your doctor, by your GP, then please take them. but it's what we call these days usually the recreational drugs. I take drugs, caffeine. It's a drug in a cup of tea. That's my vitamins. I usually take 2 vitamins every day. Vitamin C and vitamin T. But it's talking about especially things like alcohol and things like heroin. I remember this one fellow, he just said he just had 1 hit of heroin, just 1. And he thought, just to see what it does, being inquisitive. And just after 1 dose of heroin, he was addicted for life. That's how dangerous it is. And anyway, and also the training rule to refrain from sexual misconduct. That does not mean being gay. If you're any gay members of our Buddhist Society of Victoria here, LGBTQIA+, welcome. You're as welcome as everybody else. It just means if you have, again, you have a partner, don't have 2 partners, just like everybody else. But have that honesty. The whole purpose of these precepts, especially this one, is not doing anything which hurts or harms oneself, not doing anything which hurts or harms another. So sexual misconduct does mean that, if you do have any physical contact, it has to be really with consent. You can't assume consent. You get into all sorts of problems that way. And whatever you need to do in your life, however you need to live your life, please do it with kindness. That's the most important part. And trust. So whatever partner you have, you trust each other. And there's no reason why you should ever doubt that trust. That makes life so much easier. And if you break a precept, what do? Forgive. How many times? And the answer is always 1 more time. And if somebody really gives you a hard time and they think I can't trust them, you do what we call put them on probation. You say, we won't do anything, we won't get divorced, we won't go to see lawyers and split up the family. I'll give you 6 months or 1 year, and during those 6 months and 1 year you have to prove to me that you're faithful. I did that with one couple who come to Bodhinyana Monastery. She was just so upset with her partner. He'd cheated on her. And he said, look, I don't know why I did that for, I was stupid, but I really love you, I still love you. And I pleaded his case with her. He had to give her all his passwords. And so she could check up on him, whatever. He couldn't get any new phones or new passwords. And he always had to explain if he came home late for work, he had to prove that it really was a traffic jam or he had extra work. He had to make her satisfied that he would not cheat on her ever again. He did that for 6 months. He kept his precepts. And so they're back together again. And they're a wonderful couple. They always come every week to Bodhinyana Monastery to give alms food. I don't know if that's making merit or out of gratitude. Because, the precepts actually kept them together. They found a way to trust each other. And I still remember these kids giving a talk about the 5 precepts to kids in school. I said, well, what's wrong if you have just 1-parent families? Your mum and dad get separated. I was just asking that rhetorically. And one of these little kids was so simple but so wise. I need 2 parents. If I get angry with my mummy, at least I've got a dad I can hug. But if you only have one mother or one father, it's much more difficult. I'm talking from a kid's point of view. I kind of like that argument. So anyway, so that is with the, oh my goodness. What are we supposed to do next? Okay.
Can we pass the string over?
Okay, yeah.
The,
Okay.
if it's, I think it's connected, so we just have to pass it.
Okay.
Pass it down, and then
Okay.
we have to pass it over to the nuns.
Okay.
And,
We do the Passover.
Passover. Oh yes, the Passover.
Okay.
Thank you.
As usual, we're late. But it's worth waiting for.
Yeah, and we can ask
So you can sit comfortably now, the 5 preceptors.
just keep rolling it out.
Yeah.
Just to the nuns. Just to the nuns.
To nuns.
Can't include everybody, I don't think. Well,
Yeah.
maybe we can do.
We can do the new 5 preceptors. Yeah,
why not?
special.
Let's do all.
Yeah,
Keep passing it along. Yeah. Oh, gee, that's a good idea.
just for the 5 preceptors.
Yeah, and it blesses the Holy Water.
Yeah. Is it just behind you? You're the new 5 preceptor, yeah?
Are you
Just
practice it?
Yeah. Just can you pass a little detour around the back? Okay, yeah.
There we are.
Excellent.
There we are. Oh no, there we are.
Very good.
It's okay now, I can continue.
Continue, yeah.
There we are.
Excellent.
Oh, that's great. I'm cool with that.
And the other thing is, so just I noticed, and even when I was a young student, keeping 5 precepts made you happier. It's a weird thing to say, but just the general level of happiness rose. You felt good about yourself. There's few people actually do keep the 5 precepts properly in this world. And if you're one of those who keep those 5 precepts, you should never feel that you're kind of hopeless. You're an amazing being. And you can feel that. And it also improves your meditation. Many people ask me, how do you meditate so peacefully and get into some nice bliss states? And what the Buddha said, silang paribhavito samadhi mahapala hoti mahanisangsa, that when your meditation is supported by your precepts, it's of great benefit and power. That's not what they expect when they ask me to teach meditation. They say, how can I stop being restless? How can I watch my breath? How can I sit there with no thoughts going in my mind? They never expect that answer. Keep your precepts. People don't realize how powerful that is. Okay, so let's do what we're doing now. Itipiso.
And the Metta Sutta.
Okay, do Itipiso first. Here we go. Itipiso bhagava alahang samma sambuddho vijja charana sampano sugato lokavidu anuttaro purissa dhammasarati sata deva manusana buddho bhagavati suakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipasiko opanayiko pachata veditabo vinyuhiti supatipano ujupatipano bhagavato sāvaka sangho yāya patipano bhagavato sāvaka sangho sami chipatipano bhagavato sāvaka sangho yatita chatari purisa yugani ata purisa pugala esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho ahuneyo anuttara punyaketa lokasati. Now the Metta Sutta. Do we do it in English or in Pali? English, okay, English. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, not busy with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, freed from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to wrong views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And now we can wind the thread back in.
Okay.
Okay. Or
Yeah, can you wind the thread?
so the nuns
Roll
can
up.
start and
Yeah.
come back to us. Maybe.
Just some of those chants are absolutely beautiful. And just let none deceive another or despise any being in any state, no matter what state a human being is in, especially those people LGBTQIA+. We're Buddhist. We shouldn't despise or put down any human being, no matter who they are, not just human beings, any being at all. And if we respect one another, no matter what race, no matter what sort of religion, no matter what sexual orientation, no matter what they look like, they may be old, they may be sick. You know, if you go and visit people in the cancer wards or other wards, sometimes they look a bit strange, but there's a human being in there, just like you. So we should never despise anybody. Those are little teachings. That's why I love doing it in English. But my problem is, honestly, that I've been doing these chants for so long, they really have meaning for me. So sometimes I find it difficult to chant. There's this one chant we used to do, the 4 Brahma Viharas. That's not just loving kindness, that's compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And I could never finish them. Even doing it in public, I had to stop. Because just got so inspired. And just, when you're so inspired, it's just, you can't just even talk. So let alone chant. So I find these, I don't know, I may be weird, but I find these really inspiring. Now what do we do?
That's it for this one. So now the talk
Excellent.
on the power of Vesak.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're already getting the power of Vesak.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
there's the time, because you can't see
Okay,
the
yeah.
time
Okay,
now.
good, great.
There we are.
Okay.
Do you want to see?
They can stay there, can't they?
If they're comfortable.
Yeah,
if you're
comfy.
If you're not comfy.
Yeah.
If you prefer us.
You okay there? Not really
Oh
blocking
yeah,
it.
that's a good point.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't thought of that. I
Oh, the
thought
camera, yeah.
clock.
Okay. Get yourself comfy
Great,
first of
there
all.
we are.
It's not a long talk because I have to finish off. That's one thing. I told many people this. This is my 73rd year. 50 years as a monk. Yay! and when you get older, you can see me sometimes getting up. It's a bit difficult. So walking is still pretty good walking. Seeing, I do need glasses. Hearing sometimes, I may miss something. Many parts of my body are getting old and wearing out. But there's one part of my body gets stronger every year. Every year it gets much more force and power in it. You know what that is? My voice. I can talk, I don't really need this, I can talk loudly and keep going on for hours. That's what happens when you get old. You ask your grandparents and they can talk. Most politicians are usually old these days because they talk. But anyway, now so the power of Vesak. Again, this is second or third Vesak I've done this year. Don't know how many Vesaks I've done in my life. And I allow just that aspect of my confidence, my faith, my joy in what we're doing here today. You know, we're worshipping. What does that mean? We find worth in the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. And to begin with, I think I told a story last year, but it's a powerful story, anecdote, that when I gave a talk some years ago, it was in a very prestigious Anglican school in Perth. I was in Christchurch Grammar School. And I was invited there because I can give good talks. They don't seem to offend anybody, but they tend to bring people even of different religions together. So I was invited there mainly because of the chaplain there. He became a good friend after we did some work together on cancer support. And he said to his principal, why didn't you invite Ajahn Brahm there? Something different, maybe good. So the three of us had to wait outside the main hall, where it's a boys' school at the time. And the boys were just congregating at high school. And once they were all settled in, the principal turned around and told me, this is a Christian school, an Anglican school. We have a little shrine to Jesus. He says, when we go in, and I'm a Christian, obviously the chaplain is a Christian, but you're a Buddhist. We too will do a little bow to the shrine. You're a Buddhist, you don't have to do that. And that's when I pretended to be offended. I said, I demand my right to bow to your shrine of Jesus. I think I went a bit over the top because I remember the principal, he looked he looked at the chaplain, saying, "Is this guy okay?" and he said, "Yeah, no, I trust him." So when we went in to the big hall, the three of us did a little bow to the statue of Jesus. And then that was my talk. I make up as I go along. I said, when I bow to a Buddha 3 times, honestly, I said, this is what I bow to. I don't bow to, like, I can't even see it there. Oh, let's see this one. A metal statue with a big flame on the top of his head. I've never seen a real person with that flame on top of their head. It's what it represents to me. That's what's important. So my first bow when I see a Buddha statue, what inspires me about the Buddha's life. I've been a Buddhist monk. I've been really immersed in this life, again, for 50 years. Seen some great monks and great nuns, lived in inspiring places, and helped out whenever I can great Buddhist societies like the BSV, seen all the amazing work you've done. So the first thing which I bow down to when I see a Buddha statue, I bow down to virtue, to goodness, to precepts. I know what that does to your life. Changes your life. You become trustworthy. You become honest, good. You feel good about yourselves. Your family can respect you that much more. Every time I see great acts of honesty, that just uplifts me. I think the world is not a terrible place. If you get on the internet and see the ABC News or BBC News, oh my goodness, you lose kind of hope. But you come here and see people taking the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts for the first time. Wow. That really sort of lifts you up. And it really works. This is one of my best compliments in my life so far, was when I got a telephone call from a prison officer in Western Australia. This prison officer, he demanded to speak to me. I thought, what have I done wrong? And it wasn't anything wrong. He said, Ajahn Brahm, said, I've been in the prison service all my career. In 1 month's time, he was going to retire. And he said, I'm not a Buddhist myself, but I've noticed that every prisoner in the jails I've been looking after, every prisoner, once they're released from jail, they never go back to jail. There's 0 recidivism. I said, I don't know what you've been doing, but I want you to come and do it again. Please come back to teach in my jail. And that was just a beautiful compliment. Not from like a member of the Buddhist Society of Victoria. Thank you for serving all these years. Thank you for raising funds for our retreat centre. That's another of my jobs. But thank you for actually teaching. And it's inspiring. People who go to jail, and then they come to my classes, and apparently they never go back to jail again. They learn something and get some freedom after time in jail. And it's not easy. Any of you have a business, would you employ someone who's been in jail for 4 or 5 years? I know I'm going off topic. I always go off topic. On one of the retreats which I taught over in Perth, had difficulty finding a cook. So I managed to find one at the last minute. It was difficult, but we managed to get one. His name was Carl, a brilliant cook. One thing which I liked about his cooking, he'd make pizzas himself. He wouldn't get one from the shop. He'd make it all by himself. Amazing different toppings. And just in just one morning, just flour, and by lunchtime, incredible pizzas, as well as every other type of food you could want. And he was so good, he did it as good karma. He never asked for any money. At the end of the retreat, people said they wanted to thank him. Where's he gone? Where's Carl gone? It was only the end of the retreat I told him who he was and where he came from. I say, Carl's had to go back to prison now. He was on work release. And of course they asked what he did. I got permission to say this. He said he was in prison for rape. When I said that, everybody went silent. I said, what has Ajahn Brahm done? They let Carl, a beautiful man, let him come into a retreat centre for 8 of the 9 days, and he was in prison for rape. So yeah, I trust him. I'm just saying those words, trust. They'd made a big mistake, a huge mistake. That just because he did that terrible act once doesn't make him a rapist for life. He learned. He was involved in drugs at the time. He's basically not in his right mind. When you trust him, that was one of the best Dhamma talks I'd given. Not in words, but in acts. And he lived up to that trust. And he's still keeping in touch. He's actually now married and living a wonderful life. So, this is one of the reasons why you can do these things. You don't just see one part of a human being. You see the other part. And the other part, the good part, the virtuous part. Once I can see it, they can see it. And once they can see it, they can live up to 5 precepts. They're good. That's what I bow to. The power of those 5 precepts. Honestly, if you were in business, you'd love to employ someone who keeps precepts. If you're looking for a partner in life, love to be able to go out with someone who keeps 5 precepts and form a family with her. Someone you can trust, who doesn't lie, who's honest and cares. So that's one of the reasons why the first bow is always to virtue. Seeing it in my own life, in other people's life, and how powerful that is. And my second bow is to peace. How many times you see, there's many Sri Lankans in this organisation, how many times you see conflict in Sri Lanka? Why on earth? It's a beautiful country. It's got so much amazing resources there. I'm talking about good culture, lovely people, lovely nature, lovely tea, and Buddhism as well. It's a beautiful country. And so sometimes when there's peace, people can experience that and they love it. Wouldn't you love to have peace in your family? People have arguments, yes, but there are only arguments. Put them aside. Peace is more important. Peace in your meditation. You just sit down there, you can rest, relax. Just, peace in our country. Still, I don't know why politicians always argue. Can't we just have peace? When you do have peace, people working together, what a beautiful world that would be. So the second bow is always to peace. And the third bow is to compassion. Whenever I see compassion, real acts of kindness, people just going that extra mile for somebody else, really being kind. When I see acts like that, I just impresses me. I enjoy it. So many times people they will stay behind this afternoon to clean up. They don't have to. They just want to help out. This is not sort of Adrian's place. This is not sort of Venerable Sarada or Ajahn Nisarano's place. Whose place is this? It's our place. I think I've been coming to this BSV, I think probably maybe longer than any of you. How many of you used to come to the Richmond Temple when we were there? Ah. Yeah, you did, yeah. In the back over there. Yeah.
There's a hand, but I don't know.
Yes, hand. Yeah, no, but oh yeah, over there, yeah. I can't see you just behind the person. But you don't look old enough. You look too young. But anyway, but that used to be a long time ago. And now, see what you've done now. Sometimes I tell people, what's the BSV now? You haven't just survived. You've grown. You've got monastery now, a retreat centre coming, resident monks. Wow. All of you should feel so incredibly impressed at what you've done over these years. Did you have to do that, Adrian? Exactly, that's kindness, compassion. And when you see the results, and you really let those results go into your mind, I hope you're getting teary, because you should be weeping. And that's that type of kindness, compassion, what it does. And it's gorgeous. And these are all the things which, my 3 vows. I worship this. And it's easy to find worth in it. Oh, good. Can you give this to... Yeah, well done. I think we should put the photo over there. It's not to be ashamed of, it's beautiful. All the great things which people do. And so when one realizes just the power of kindness, does my 3 bows, it makes the bowing easy. In fact, I love it. Sometimes I would, please don't make me bow too fast, because you really get into it. So anyway, that was the subject of my talk at the school, and it went down very well. I know that because the principal did ask, can we come and visit your monastery? So he arranged a couple of busloads of kids to come to my monastery. And actually, if many of you have seen where I live in Bodhinyana Monastery, I live in a cave. It's only a small cave. And I took some of the kids inside there, maybe the 16, 17-year-olds, and I said, what do you think of the cave? They said, it's a great place for a rave. Well, I kind of like that comment, they're being honest. But the principal, he came early before the others. I took him into our main hall. There's a big Buddha statue in that hall, a big shrine, bigger than this one. And then I myself and the principal, very strict Christian, we both bowed 3 times to the Buddha, to virtue, peace and compassion. You could do that so easily once you knew what he was doing and how powerful it was, bringing people together. And of course at Vesak time, got so many amazing memories of Vesak. Even when I was a school teacher, I made sure, I was living in Devon, it was a long, about 4 hours train ride to get into London. And to be able to go to a temple, to be able to spend the day there on Vesak. And I did that. I had to, didn't have any choice. I mean, emotional, didn't have any choice. It's what I loved to do. To express that sort of, that confidence and faith and worship into something like all of the benefits I'd got from being a Buddhist for so many years. The best thing I'd ever done in my life, by far. And I wasn't desperate to find a place to stay. I had a booming degree in theoretical physics from Cambridge University, get a job wherever I wanted. I was young, I was fit, I was handsome. Never had any trouble finding a girlfriend. But, that wasn't meaningful for me. And as soon as you started meditating, and I remember going to my very first Vesak, inspiration was there, but I realized you needed more than just inspiration. My precepts were just really starting to grow. And the peace was not that much yet. But I heard, and many of you hear this, that the Buddha said that when he sat down under the Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya, he said, I'm not going to move until I reach full enlightenment. Even if my blood dries up and my bones turn to dust, I will not move until I get complete freedom from suffering. When I heard that, again, arrogant young man, Well, I thought, if the Buddha could do that, I can do that. I've got a much higher education than Siddhartha Gautama had. I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm going to do this. So you know what I did after that first Vesak I ever did? I went back to my room in college, I put down a cushion, and I made the resolution. I am not going to move from this cushion, said this young 18-year-old, until either my blood dries up, my bones turn to dust, or for enlightenment, one of the two. I'd only usually meditate for about 30 minutes at most. I did beat my PB, personal best, 40 minutes. And I was in agony, almost screaming. And I opened my eyes. I wasn't enlightened. My blood hadn't dried up yet. But I learned about arrogance. This is a gentle path, and you have to have that wisdom and understanding in order to be able to do it. But on another time, many years later, again when I was in Singapore, this is the power of Vesak. I was invited, it was a Vesak day, in the morning, early in the morning. Can you please, come and give, just say a few words or chanting anything at a kindergarten school, on Vesak. And I thought, well, why not? I'm not doing anything else in the morning. Usually all the appointments in the afternoon and evening, or at lunchtime as well. So I went there, and I didn't realize in Singapore kindergarten really does mean kindergarten. 3 years of age, 4, 5, I think that's about it. No one. How on earth do you give a talk to 3, 4, and 5-year-olds? So at least I had some understanding about psychology. I had some understanding. If you're going to teach people of that young age, you cannot teach in concepts. It's more like emotions and feelings. And especially children, that's how they learn. For how you smile, how you can laugh, how you can give some ideas and words and let the kids flow with those ideas. So that's when I did this, what I thought beautiful. I never forgotten this, and I teach this regularly to others as well, how to do a Buddha-anusati. Buddha-anusati is recollection of the Buddha, but not in the usual way which you can hear in the books or listen from others. I got all these little kids to sit down, had a big statue, much bigger than this, statue of the Buddha in the meditation pose. See how the Buddha is sitting? These were little kids, and they didn't need to sit on chairs. And I said, sit down, have a look at that Buddha. See if you can imitate that posture. The right leg was over the left leg. They had no problem with that. The right hand over the left hand, the thumb slightly touching, back straight, chin in, and close your eyes. And they all cooperated easily. And then I said, imagine you're the Buddha. Just imagine that. If I tell many other grown-ups, they say, you can't do that, the Buddha's just too high for me. Kids will do that. Imagine you're the Buddha sitting under a Bodhi tree. You're just freshly enlightened. You have nothing to worry about, ever. You don't have to worry about bills, finances. You know you're always going to have enough food to eat. You know you don't have to worry about sickness. Even the animals won't bite you. Even flies and insects. You're a Buddha. You have so much loving kindness. Animals will protect you. Just like that big snake, Muchalinda, protecting the Buddha after his enlightenment from rain. You have nothing to perform ever again. You've done all the work you ever need to do in your life. You're perfectly safe. All you can do is just to teach, inspire. You've got nothing to worry about with your health. Your mind is so pure and powerful. You can look at any part of your body and sap it with loving kindness. And it relaxes and heals. You're perfectly free. You don't have to worry about achieving anything. You've achieved everything that ever needs to be achieved. You're at peace. You're free. Nothing can harm you, ever. I went on like this. Again, many of you got your eyes closed, great. Because that's what it does. It does to me. I had to stop now, otherwise I'd just go on forever. When I did open my eyes in this kindergarten, the teachers there looked at me, carry on, carry on. They were enjoying it so much. This was the teachers, let alone the kids. So the kids who were at that class really got into it. They got a feel for what it's like to be a Buddha. What we call a taste of enlightenment. Not much of a taste, but enough to really inspire them. And we talk about all these things, but emotionally, how does it feel to be peaceful? What happens when you're really kind and you're really good? You have precepts for years, and they become like who you are. Imagine what that must feel like. That's what the kids were great at, imagining. But that imagination was so close to a truth, they really got off on it. And that night when I had to go and teach some of the senior people in Singapore, the grown-ups, they said, Ajahn Brahm, a couple of us heard you gave this great meditation class to the 3 or 4-year-old kids. Can you give it to us, please? And now you can tell just how magical that is. It's not just doing the words. You've heard the words so many times. You can hear them on YouTube, you can download them, you can read them, audio books, but actually feeling it, what it's like to be free. And if anybody argues with you, it's just like wind rustling the leaves of the trees. It's just noise, sometimes pleasant noise, unpleasant noise. And people are just doing the best they can. Sometimes, I don't know, people say that I'm a bit crazy, but I can't see any ill will in any human being. They're just a bit stupid sometimes. Protection, fear. When people speak from fear, mostly, that's where they get these terrible words from. If they can just pause a while and feel, who would ever say anything which hurts another human being? You just can't do it. So that's one of the reasons why, in all my life as a monk, people have said terrible things about me, but you never get hurt. I always tell people you've got 2 ears. One to go in, one to go out. So if ever you see me putting a hand over one ear, that means because somebody's telling me something nice. Like Ajahn Sarano is praising me, so I make sure it keeps in there. And if, one of those stories, I remember hearing this years and years and years ago, I think when I was at university or at school, there was this one, this is in ancient Greece. In those days, that anybody would go to a teacher, and the teacher would teach them everything. They didn't go to different classes. One teacher, and after you graduated from that teacher, then you can get great jobs all over the place. And this particular student, when he graduated from this famous Greek teacher, then whenever he got a job, if he made a mistake and his boss cursed him, or just scolded him, shouted at him, this young man would laugh. He'd just break out laughing every time. And the boss thought, this is crazy. How come when you scold someone, they don't scold you back or get angry or get ashamed, but they just find it so funny? He said, why? So one day, the boss took this his employee aside and said, look, you're not a bad employee, you're quite good. But one thing which, I scold everybody, they all make mistakes from time to time, but when I scold you, you just laugh. How come? And he said, well, actually, I owe this to my teacher. Because every time my teacher scolded me, he charged me extra fees for tuition. And he explained it, because scolding him, it takes more work than praising. So if I scold someone, it's your fault, so I have to charge you. And now he said, leaving that school and going to work, I get the scolding for free. That's why I find it so funny. Little stories like that I love. Or, am I going over time? Q&A. Oh, cool. Okay, one last story. if you're lucky. Like when people scold you, what should you do? And this was one of those stories Ajahn Chah told me. Just when I first went to northeast Thailand in 1974, I think it was. That's right, yeah. As a 23-year-old. I was so lucky. I was only 23 and I became a monk. Wow, yeah. Very lucky. But anyway, at that time, it was just the ending of the Vietnam War. And so they still had a US Air Force base in Ubon, just outside. And one day there was an Afro-American soldier. He was in a rickshaw, a cycle rickshaw, going from the Air Force base into town. And then, as he was sitting in the rickshaw driver passed by this roadside store which would sell cheap whiskey. And that's where many of the friends of the rickshaw driver, many of the rickshaw driver's friends were getting drunk. And so they shouted out a racist like words against the black African American soldier. Where are you taking that filthy dog to? Now, if that soldier had known what was being said, there would be a fight for sure. And the soldier was big, well trained. So the rickshaw driver was really scared. And he looked around at his passenger, black African soldier. And the soldier was just smiling, admiring the scenery. So the driver thought he doesn't understand Thai. So he said, look how filthy he is. I'm taking him to town to throw him into the river to give him a good wash. Ha 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 ha. Totally racist. But the soldier just smiled. He's admiring the scenery. Now what happens next? When they got into the middle of town, the soldier got out of the rickshaw and started walking away without paying. And the rickshaw driver screamed out in some English he'd learnt, hey, money, dollars, fare. And that's when the African American soldier turned around and said in perfect Thai, dogs don't have money. That's how to deal with abuse. If you keep your cool, you can always think of lines like that and get out of having to pay the fare. Anyway, so I don't know if that was on the power of Vesak, but anyway, there's some nice advice and some good fun. And please, whenever you have a Vesak, make it enjoyable, inspirational, powerful, and it becomes magical. People say, where did you go today? I went to a religious ceremony. Oh, come on, where did you really go? You're smiling too much to have gone to a religious ceremony. And this is what Buddhism should be like. You enjoy the company here, you enjoy the Dhamma, it makes you a better human being. And also, you go back home. That's the best way to spread the Dhamma. They look at you, and you're a happier being. And they say they want to come. Sorry, Adrian, it's my fault.
It's okay.
No, it's my fault because you have to have a bigger place next year. I'll give you more stress.
Well, we just had to do more fundraising.
Fundraising. Take off the D.
Anyway, thank you, Ajahn, for that inspirational and touching stories and talks. Sadhu, 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 everyone.
Oh, you got Q&A.
Yeah. Now it's a question and answer time. We got a few minutes left. We start with the questions from the floor, then alternate with the online questions. Those who likes to ask a question, can you please put up your hand?
The Dhamma school, the citizen.
We'll do that later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going to ask the first question? Don't pause.
Please raise your hand.
You get an extra prize for the first question?
Come on.
Oh, yes, one over here. Over here. Yes.
Wait, oh, sorry.
Yes. Crikey.
How can you be not judgmental when you read about a perfectly bad human being?
How can you be non-judgmental when you read about a perfectly bad human being? I've never met a perfectly bad human being. One of the most notorious people in jail, which I met in jail when I went to visit him, was this person called Ronnie Cray, the Cray brothers in East London. They were gangsters, and this fellow was psychotic. He was on medication when I met him, but he was perfectly understandable. And at the end of the little visit, he shook my hand and said, if ever I get a few quid, I'll send something to your monastery. He wanted to make a donation. And he's one of the most worst, dangerous people you'd ever expect to meet. Apparently they made a film about him and his brother. And his brother, he was a crazy one. He was such a nice guy. There's no such thing as a perfectly bad human being. If they were, and this is in Buddhism, if they were perfectly bad, they would not be reborn as a human being. They've all got a lot of good inside them. You've just got to bring that out. So they're not looking at the bad, they're looking at their good part. Honestly, that's, when I say that, I'm not making this up to impress you. I've never seen a perfectly bad human being. The worst one I've seen, but he's not perfectly bad. I don't mind saying this, I might be getting in trouble. In Cambodia, the ceremony which I was doing, the president there, Hun Sen, he really looked, you would like to get on the wrong side of him in his own country. But that's only just one meeting. I'm sure there's many other beautiful things in him as well. To make that point, please, I think it's in Opening the Door of Your Heart, one of those books, I wrote this poem. And I didn't write it, I just published it in there. It was written by another author about a love of a son for their mother. If you have, your mother, when she gets old, she may sort of almost like drive you crazy asking for things and then asking for something else. But if she asks, please give what she asks for. If she asks again, please give again. If she asks the third time, please give. Because there will come a time when your mother is not there to ask anymore. And you feel really so sad. This is just a paraphrase of this beautiful poem. When I read it, it's quite a good poem, but why I put it in my book, Opening the Door of Your Heart, was because of its author. Its author was a gentleman called Adolf Hitler, the real Adolf Hitler. And the reason I put it in there was how many people would think the person who was so notorious, responsible for so many deaths, cruel deaths. How could he write a poem like that? To show that there was a beautiful part inside of him, as well as this terrible part as well. If you know that good part's inside, sometimes you can bring that out of a person and make them be, to recognize their goodness and their kindness. His love for his mother was immense. So that's why I wrote that in the book. You can find it in the library somewhere. It was actually to shock people. One of the other little poems I put in that book, I told you I talk too much, I'm getting old. I'm sorry, I'm not getting old, I am old. Was about this other poem about somebody who was stricken by chronic pain. And he said, sometimes, just in brief, sometimes it's just pain, you wonder why on earth you have to deal with this. It's chronic, you have to bear it all the time, there's no cure. You hope there's a cure, but there isn't. And this chronic pain sometimes gets so bad. But there is a meaning to that chronic pain. He found this meaning to that chronic pain. That life in spite of it. That joy in spite of it. And this was another really inspiring sort of poem. And a major inspiration of that, it was written by this young boy, Jonathan Wilson Fuller. I still remember his name. He wrote it when he was 7. Good. You got the shock. The 7-year-old could write a poem like that. And sometimes used to get fed up, you get a toothache, or you get sort of, you can't sleep at night for one reason, or you have other sicknesses. Sometimes those are things which inspire me. The unexpected. Human beings can actually rise to such huge levels. So it's in one of those, I think, Good, Bad, Who Knows, or Open the Door of Your Heart book. I forget which one. Okay, I'm speaking again too much, sorry.
And we'll go for one more question. Thank you, Ajahn, for the answer. So there's one more online question. Can you read the question, please?
I've just done one question so far. You go on.
Yes. Thank you, Ajahn. Someone wrote, I have an important question. What is the best way to deal with betrayal, especially when it comes from your sister, mother or father? Thank you.
Is forgive. Doesn't matter how many times they betray you. Find out why. Find out also, before you judge them, how many times they did not betray you. Put it into context. All the times your sister or your mother or someone, they treated you fairly, properly, honestly, caringly. How many times did they do that? They betrayed you, maybe big time, but as many times they didn't betray you at all. And if you can see the big picture, protect yourself. You don't need to be the doormat. To be able to protect yourself, one of the best stories, which I rarely actually say these days. Once upon a time, there was a very, very, very bad snake. And a bad snake would bite people, not to protect itself, just for fun. The snake's fun, that is, not anybody else's fun. And then one day, as the snake was getting older, the snake started to wonder about what we call these days the law of karma. What happens to bad snakes when they die? Do they just disappear or they get reborn somewhere? What happens if there's been a very bad snake? Are they going to go to a hell where bad snakes get punished for long, long periods of time? So the snake started to get religious. He heard that there was this holy snake who lived in this little, used to be a a Jewish hall, and the holy snake lived in, what was it, Darling Road somewhere. and the bad snake was always pouring scorn. These stupid people who go to Darling Road Temple and just stay there and donate and give food to these fat monks. What do they do that for? Stupid. But then when the snake started to get old, he wondered, there must be something in it somewhere. So he decided to come and visit the Buddhist Society of Victoria. But when he came to visit, he sat in the back. He was wearing a big hat, dark glasses. He didn't want to be recognized. But the more he listened to the holy snake give the talk on Vesak, the more he enjoyed it. And he could see the sense in it. And after a while, the bad snake took off his big hat and glasses and disguise, and people were shocked to see such a bad snake had actually come into the BSV. And he slithered up to the holy snake, and the holy snake, the bad snake said, look, I've been a very terrible snake all my life. I've done really bad karma, but I understand now. I really want to change. So you know what the holy snake did? Gave the bad snake 5 precepts. The bad snake said, no, you don't have to be afraid of me anymore. I'm never going to bite anybody ever again. I'm going to be a good snake from now on. And he even gave a donation on the way out. Coins, of course, so everyone could hear. And they went back to the place where he lived. Now, how does a snake tell the human beings that he's now a safe snake? When they saw him, they would jump away. Even though he had a big Greenpeace badge and CND, nuclear disarmament, and what else, Save the Planet, badge on his chest. And one day, there was a young boy. He was walking past, playing a computer game on his iPhone. And he almost stepped on a snake. And the snake never bit him. It just smiled religiously at him. And from that point on, people realized that snake was no longer dangerous. So they just went right past him, and he would never hurt them at all. He just was sitting there, cross-coiled in deep meditation. And then one day, these kids, sometimes after school there's always a few little disturbed boys, and they went up to that snake and said, you call yourself a snake? You're not a real snake, are you? You're just an oversized worm. And they called him, you slimy creep. Actually, he was slimy. All snakes are a bit slimy, and they do creep, so there's some truth in that. But then the words hurt. He was a very proud snake. He didn't deserve those words. But then when they started throwing stones at him, some of those stones hit and hurt. But he was on 5 precepts. He thought, I can't bite anymore. So they actually got sticks and started hitting him. That poor snake. Some of those beatings really hurt. And he thought, I could just bite one of these. They can't stop me, but I'm keeping 5 precepts. And so he took that beating. And he realized in the real world, it's hard to keep 5 precepts in difficult situations. So he decided to call up to the holy snake in Darling Road and asked to be relieved from his 5 precepts. And when the bad snake came in, oh my goodness, he was covered in band-aids and bandages, and the holy snake said, what happened to you? And the bad snake says, your fault. What What do you mean it's my fault? You gave me the 5 precepts. I can't bite anybody anymore. I can't defend myself. Look what's happened to me. And the holy snake, with his great wisdom and compassion, said, you stupid snake. You silly snake. It's true I gave you the 5 precepts, including not killing anybody, but I never ever told you not to hiss. That's all the snake needed to do. And those bad boys would run straight away. So when you have 5 precepts in the big bad world, you can always hiss. And that should be enough to protect you. Okay, I think I talked too much again.
Thank you very much, Ajahn.
Okay, thank you.
We're running out of time, so we have to move to the next item. So now it's the offerings of requisites and robes to the monastic. So please, those who are sitting in front, can you move to the back? Those who has any offerings to make, can you please step forward when this group of people have vacated the place? Yeah.
Only the people in the hall.
Yeah, only the people in the hall first.
People from outside.
Yeah.
Ajahn will come.
Yeah. Those who has offerings and they are staying outside the hall, can you please example at the vihara, and there's a table at the vihara whereby you can place your offerings. But those who are in the hall, you can put your offerings. You can step forward and
Not in front of her.
and make your offerings
Facing,
now.
Against the wall, yeah.
Hi.
Can you let those people who have offerings to make, please come forward, please.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great.
Vesak, double merit.
There we are.
Oh, it's heavy.
Heavy merit.
Okay, well, it's really heavy. So it's depleted uranium.
So they're going to have
Can you step aside so that people who are offerings, they can move forward, please?
Double merit. That's all. Oh no. Coming up. Please come.
Please come forward, those who have offerings to make.
Well, I got a
something around it.
picture. Amazing.
It's a bag, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Okay, come. Goodness, it's a...
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Oh, look at that. Did you do it? Did you paint it?
Oh, my wife painted it.
Ah,
No, your mum's...
yeah.
I worked to call
You can offer to the nuns too as well.
Is your mother famous?
Any
She will be. Very good. Amazing. Wow. Here we go. I shouldn't look at it. That's amazing. Where are you from?
Indonesia.
Oh, excellent. Terima kasih.
Yeah, you can offer to any of the monastics, the nuns or
Right.
the monks. I know that most of you will want to offer to a certain monk, but nevertheless, you can offer to others if you to speed. If-
Yeah.
so, there we are.
Yeah, and they were saying they... Excellent. Yes. Excellent. Well done.
Oh, no, we can just pass it. There we are. Just quick. We have to do it quick. There we are. And you can offer to any of the monks or nuns. There we are. We're blessed to have 9 monastics here today. That's pretty good. Hello, Angie. Oh, it's others. There we are. May your knees get better, Angie. Yes. There we are, Bante. Yeah, good. Right. Oh, there are quite a few. Yeah. Maybe there won't be much outside, I think. Sadhu. There we are. Bless you. Yeah, great. All right. So, okay. There we are, Alice. Yeah, very good. Please, yeah, and you can offer to any of the monks or nuns. There we are. Yeah. Yeah. They like the big snake. They know he won't bite. Sadhu, sadhu. Yeah, that's good. Sadhu. Sadhu. Hello. Oh, hello, Angela. Oh, right, we actually met. Yeah. And your son. Oh, lovely. Hello, how are you? That's good. Nice to meet you. That's really good. Yeah.
Those who are outside the hall, they can stay outside with the offerings and place it at on the table in the back of the vihara. Ajahn Brahm will go there to receive them later.
This is Dear Angela. Dear Angela. There we are. Lovely. Very nice. Hari, there we are. Do you want to come? Lily? There we are. There we are. Doesn't matter. I'd start to say. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Diverting. I think it goes to all the same source, but nevertheless, we share. Yep.
Okay.
And any other offerings outside, as Adrian mentioned,
That's
you can
right.
put on the table
So
in the vihara.
Those stay outside, please. We can leave it on the table outside.
Outside the vihara, yeah.
Which
And Ajahn Brahm will receive it when he's doing the water blessing. So
That's right.
that will be the opportunity for you to offer then, all together. So now, I think it's the Anumodana, and I'm going to lead that one, but looks like it, doesn't it? Or comments, I think. There we are. This is Arwen. There we are. Oh, look, and Arthur. There we are. Sadhu, sadhu.
Are there questions on the screen?
Comments, I think. Comments? I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. Arthur.
He was the president of City Centre. Yeah, there we are. So.
Okay. We move to the next item, which is water blessing. So
No,
make
there's
sure.
the Anumodana first.
Oh, Anumodana, sorry. Make sure there's a passage here along the way. The monks will do the chanting
I'll just leave
Anumodana,
it.
then
I'm
followed
saying
by
we
the
just
water
do
blessing. Please be
the one we
seated
do
where you
at
are.
Newbury, they all know.
Those who are staying outside, please
And
sit
we'll
where you
do,
are.
they will abide in
Ajahn and
well. Here it
monastics
is.
will
I
go
think it shows on
will
the
go
screen.
around blessing everyone where you are.
We'll do it in Pali.
Sorry?
There we are. So now is the time for dedicating the merit and sharing the merit that you've made from today and on other occasions with those that have passed away, but also with those that are living, going through a difficult time. And by keeping them in mind, this can be of benefit to them, and especially if they know about it. And it's also the Anumodana, rejoicing in the merit you're making. It's rejoicing in goodness. And as Ajahn mentioned, when we rejoice in goodness, we balance our minds more, because there's so much bad news that you read from various sources, that when we rejoice in goodness, we realise this is actually more powerful than the bad news. And it balances our minds. So very good. So now the Sangha will do the dedication of merit, and as I said, sharing it with others, and also rejoicing in your merit. And for yourselves too, to rejoice in the fact you have the opportunity to offer to a Sangha. In Australia, that's quite rare. In Sri Lanka, yeah, that's right. And a dual Sangha, that's even better. So both Sanghas, like the time of the Buddha. So that's great. So now the Sangha will do that. And as we do, you can bring to mind those relatives that have passed away, or those family and friends who are having problems, difficulties, and dedicate the merit and share the merit with them. So there we are. And you can join in if you know the words too. It's up here. I think most people know the Idang Vonyati, or Idang May, if you want to do that. Idang Vonyati Nang Hontu Sukhita Hontu Nyatayo idam vonyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idam vonyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Sabba roga vinimuto, sabba santa pavajito, sabba veramaticato, nimuto chatuang bhava, sabbitio vivajantu, sabba rogo vinasatu mate bhavattvantarayo sukhi dingayuko bhava abhivadana silisa nijam buddha pachayino chattaro dhamma vadanti ayuvano sukham balam bhavatu sabba mangalam rakantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sadasoti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalam rakantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sadasoti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalam rakantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavena sadasoti bhavantu te. May you abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may you maintain well-being in yourselves. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. Sadhu, 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 sadhu. There we are, just to speed it up a bit. Missed out a bit, but nevertheless. So, and now is going to be the water blessing, and of course this is the water that we blessed by chanting some of the teachings of the Buddha. And Ajahn Brahm will be going around sprinkling first of all this area, then to the library, and then to the outside area, car park, and then over to the patio area, and also to the inside the vihara as well. And when he goes over to that area, over to the vihara area, the patio area, then he can receive any of the other offerings that people have from outside. And they can just put that on the table, and Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Buddha can receive those offerings. So if people would stay where they are, please don't move around because it makes it very difficult to get through. And so Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Buddha will come to you. And as I say, first of all, the water sprinkling, and then after that, then the offering. Some people can come around and offer the tables to Ajahn Brahm and to Ajahn Buddha while we chant here in the hall. There we are. And we will chant the words of from the Metta Sutta. We did it in English, but we'll do it in Pali. It's the second part of the Metta Sutta. So there we are. Mettancha sambalokasming manasam bhavaye aparimanam udang adochatiriyancha asampadang averang asapatang titancha rang nisinoa Sayano Yavatasa Vigatamido Etang Sating Teya Brahma Metang Viharam Idamahuddhi Tincha Anupagama Silava Dasanena Sampano Kame Suvineya Gedham Nahi Jatu Gambasayang Punareti Ti Metansha Sambalokasmi Manasambhavaye Aparimana Udang Andochatiryancha Asampadang Averang Asapata Tansharang Nisinova Sayanova Yavatasa Vigatamido Etang Sating Aditeya Brahma Metang Viharang Idamahuddhi Tincha Anupagama Silava Das Kamano Kame Suvineya Gedham Nahi Jatu Gambasayam Punareti Ti Metancha Sambalokasmi Manasambhavaye Aparimanam Udang Adochatiryancha Asampadang Averang Asapatang Titancharang Nisinowa Sayanowa Yavatasa Vigatamido Etang Sating Aditeya Brahma Metang Viharang Idamahuddhi Tincha Anupagama Silava Dasanena Sampano Kame Suvineya Gedham Nahi Jatu Gambasayang Punareti Ti Metancha Sambalokasmi Manasambhavaye Aparimanam Udang Adochatiryancha Asampadang Averang Asapatang Titan Charang Nisinova Sayanova Yavatasa Vigatamido Etang Sating Aditeya Brahma Metang Viharang Idamahuddhi Tincha Anupagama Silava Dasanena Sampano Kame Suvineya Gedham Nahi Jatu Gambasayang Punareti Ti Metancha Sambalokasmi Manasambhavaye Aparimanam Udang Adochatiryancha Asampadang Averang Asapatang Titancharam Isinowa Sayanowa Yavatasa Vigatamido Etang Sating Aditeya Brahma Metang Viharang Idamahuddhi Tincha Anupagama Silava Dasanena Sampano Kame Suvineya Gedham Nahi Jatu Gambasayang Punareti Ti Metancha Sambalokasmi Manasambhavaye Aparimanam Udang Adochatiryancha Asampadang averang asapatam titang sharang nisino va sayano va yavatasa vigatamido etang sating aditeya brahma metang viharang idamahuditincha anupagama silava dasanena sampano kame suvineya gedhang nahi jatu gabaseyang punareti ti. Sadhu, 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 sadhu. And just to announce, after Ajahn finishes the blessing outside, that he and Ajahn Mudita will do the blessing outside, that there will be a session for the new members taking the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts at the back of the vihara in the patio area, and that will be followed by meet and greet. Do some of you still have things you want to... Oh no, the things you've got here today. I was going to say more offerings, I thought. But there'll be a meet and greet after the session for taking the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. So it looks like the water blessing may take a while, I think, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I can hear them. No, they're still here, actually. Amazing. Still, goodness me. Maybe we need to give a little bit more power. We'll do another few rounds. And then after, as I say, after the water blessing, then you're welcome to come over and meet and greet. It'll be quite a crowd, but nevertheless. All right. Mettanscha sambalokasming mana sambhavaye aparimana udang adochatiryancha asampadang averang asapatang titan charang nisino va sayano va yavatasa vigatamido etang sating aditeya brahma metta viharang idamahuditincha anupagama silava dasanena sampano kame suvineya gedhang nahi jatu gambaseyang punareti ti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I think now we can, for those who'd like to, we can pay respects to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha and finish off. And I think Ajahn Brahm will finish his water blessing outside, and he'll be going to the patio area behind the vihara, the house next door. All right? Yeah. This water? Yes, and then he just, Ayurveda is just mentioning that there's some water here, some a blessed water, little bottles. So anybody that wishes to take some, you're welcome to, all right? You can see these little bottles on the shrine. Thank you. How are you? Yeah, that's nice to see you. How are you doing? Yeah. Oh, I heard that was very popular. Yeah.